So when it comes to running high-impact discovery, the best open-ended discovery questions are the ones that have three things. Number one, they promote focus. So it really helps your customer cut out the noise and focus on the most important insights. Number two, it helps promote alignment. So these questions are the ones that help you understand if your customer's needs are even a fit for your solution in the first place. And number three is they have this element of novelty. The questions are fun, they're engaging, and they make the customer lean in and say, that was a really good question. And today we're going to be exploring my favorite open-ended question that has all these three elements. My name is David Priemer, and welcome to another episode of Sales Lab Live. Now, we're going to talk about this fun and engaging discovery question. It's actually a lot simpler than you think, but it's actually there's a little bit nuance, right? There's a little bit of a narrative to it, right? It's not just a question that you ask, like, what's the problem you're trying to solve, and you just kind of, sit back. There's a little bit of nuance to it, and so I want to explain the nuance to you so you can use it in the most effective way. I'm going to show you the formula for asking this question. And it has two blanks in it, okay? I call this my favorite open-ended discovery question builder. And all you're going to be doing is you're going to be asking the customer to complete this sentence for you, right? Super, super simple. All you're going to do is you're going to ask the customer to complete this sentence. And the sentence is going to go, I could, and you're going to insert in the first blank the outcome that they're trying to drive. And you're going to say this, and the second blank is the time horizon in which they're trying to solve this problem. So what are you going to do? You're going to say, for example, if you think about what would be in that first blank? Well, maybe they're trying to sell more products or drive more revenue. Or maybe they're trying to deliver better service. Or maybe they're trying to improve the experience or the outcomes for their customers and clients. So you would say, hey, look, you know what? Tim, I'm going to use Tim here. You might say, hey, Tim, complete this sentence for me. You mentioned earlier that you were trying to drive, more revenue for your customers, improve their outcomes. Answer this for me. I could sell more products, drive more revenue, this, and then again, you're going to put the time horizon. So this month, this quarter, this year, this week, whatever it is for you, if, right? So I would say, hey, Tim, let me ask you this question. Complete this sentence for me. I could sell more software this quarter if. What's the if, right? And again, why is this so powerful? Because what you're doing is you're focusing the customer, right? You're saying, hey, look, you could do all sorts of things. What's the one thing that you have control over? That word could is actually very, very important because you don't have control over everything. But what's one thing that you could do this month, this quarter, this year to drive that outcome? What would that thing be for you? So it promotes that focus. To the exclusion of everything else you could do, what's the one thing? Number two, it promotes alignment. So whatever it is that you say, if you said, well, I think if I improved the efficiency of my sales team or made it easier for them to, create more accurate forecasts and log their stuff in the CRM, then we would be able to sell more revenue, right? Okay, great. So now I understand that second element, which is alignment, which is, do I even have a solution to that problem? If you just said that's the number one thing that you could be focused on, do I even have a solution for that? Now, the good news is if I do have a solution for that, well, then the narrative continues from there. If I don't have a solution for that, or I don't think it's a good fit, well, that's the whole point of doing discovery in the first place, is to understand if there's a good fit there. So number two, it promotes this great alignment. And number three, there's this element of novelty, right? This question, it's fun, it's engaging. And one of the best parts about it, it is not leading in any way. And I have a bunch of content and videos on the wrong way to ask discovery questions. And the wrong way to ask discovery questions oftentimes is this idea of asking leading questions. And so what do I mean by a leading question? If I were to say to you, hey, Tim, could your business use 50 highly qualified more leads a month? Is that something you could do with? And of course, if I say yes, then I'm basically giving you consent to do all your sleazy sales stuff to me. And if I say no, then I'm an idiot, right? Because who wouldn't want more leads? That's a leading question. We don't want to ask those. But the beauty of this question is that it is not leading in any way, right? I'm asking you this very open-ended question, and you're free to answer however you want. So that's the beauty of this question. Really, really simple. I want to go back to the formula here. All you're going to do, and again, you can preface this by the one thing, and you all know, by the way, I'm a fan of the one thing. There's a book called The One Thing, The Surprisingly Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results. And this actually, I've been teaching this tactic for years, even before I read that book, but the book is great because it talks about this idea of the focusing question. And so you can preface this kind of very similar formatted question with like Tim, what's the one thing that you could do to improve the service you deliver to your customers this quarter, right? Such that everything else would be unnecessary. Like, what's that thing? I could complete this sentence. I could deliver better service to my customers this quarter if. What's the if, right? And again, it's not just the words, it's the tone and approach. In fact, in our last Sales Lab Live, we dove deeper into the concept of like, how do we ask questions, not just in terms of the tone, but the order in which we ask them. So I would refer you back to those, check those out, the last couple of videos. But, for example, stopping and saying, hey, look, Tim, you mentioned that, improving the service you deliver to your customers is really important and a top priority. So we might be able to help with that, at my company. I guess my question is, you see how I'm kind of looking up into space here? I'm like looking up into space. Like I'm crafting this question. This is look it up. It's my question barista video. If you haven't seen that, I'm crafting this question. It's like a handcrafted question just for you, right? I'm like, you mentioned that this was important. And I'm just kind of wondering, if you were to complete this sentence, I could deliver better service to my customers this quarter if. Like, what's the if for you, right? Super, super simple. Now, there's lots of versatility to this question. And one of the ways that this question is so versatile is that it can actually be used as a sales rep coaching question as well. And so if you're a leader, this is going to be a very powerful coaching question. But even if you're an individual contributor, it's actually a really good question for you to ask yourself, really for anyone. Right? Like no matter what you want to do, you want to lose weight, get in shape, you want 6-pack abs, you want to generate more revenue, you want to have a better relationship with your family, with your partner, whatever it is, ask yourself this focusing question, right? I could get in the best shape of my life or get in better shape this month if, like, what's one thing I could do, right, to do that? Like, what's the focus, right? And it's completely open-ended. So you can actually use this with your reps if you're coaching them, or you can use it by yourself if you're coaching yourself from a sales perspective. I actually have this article on my blog. It's called The One Question Sales Leaders Need to Ask Their Teams. And it is a version of this focusing question. So you could even ask yourself or your team again, like, let's go back. Hold on a sec. We're going to go back to the question. Like, ask your reps this question. Like, I could hit my number this month if what? What's one thing I could do to help myself hit my number this month? Like, what's that focusing question? Again, it has all of the same ingredients that you want in a good discovery question, right? So again, number 3 reasons why this works. Focus. It promotes that singular focus. When I ask the question to the exclusion of everything else, I just want you to think about what would it take to solve this problem and what's the one thing that you could do. Putting the emphasis on the word could, because you can't do everything, right? If the solution is change the product, if you're in sales and the solution to selling more software is change the product, well, guess what? You can't change the product, right? Your customer doesn't have control over everything in their business, or at least the person that you're speaking to. So the focusing part of it is really, really important. Number 2, we talk about alignment. So this idea that, hey, look, I don't have a solution to all of my customers' problems. So to the extent that I can solve the problem that my customer has, it's going to be like, that's the whole point of discovery, right? So so that's the alignment piece. And number 3 is just the novelty piece, right? Like I'd say customers are so, just used to being bombarded with like bullshit questions from sales reps that any question that kind of stands out, that is engaging, it's fun, that helps create a little bit of intrigue and a little bit of narrative and doesn't sound the same as everyone else is very, very powerful. Don't underestimate the power of novelty. And again, the fact that it's open-ended, not leading, even better. So that's all I got for you today. A fun, open-ended, engaging discovery question. Just ask your customer to complete the sentence. I could achieve this outcome in this time horizon if. You're going to see like the amazing impact that question will have. So thanks for hanging in there. That's all I got for you today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time on Sales Lab Live.